I just don't see how we as small people can influence the West, modify their activities to prevent effects of climate change or climate change altogether.
The Pacific island state of Vanuatu was hit by 2 Category 4 cyclones and 2 earthquakes over 3 days at the start of March.
It was ferocious. Never been experienced such anger in the wind. It howled and it was just unimaginable. I was in fear. The next day I heard the devastation and I felt so sad.
The devastating onslaught flattened homes, cut power, and impacted over 80% of the 320,000 people living here. Crops were destroyed, and many of the trees still standing have been stripped of their leaves. The flooding caused by the storm filled some houses with mud. One of the women whose family has been particularly affected is Karen Patricia, who spoke to The Independent from the bare ground where she told us her kitchen once stood.
And the water came here with a cyclone and it damaged my kitchen. When the cyclone gone, we see no more kitchen here. Everything was gone.
Others have lost livelihoods.
What we grow here, like all this is our living. So now like all these food crops here destroyed. This is the last week, I think, for eating all the bananas and all this. So we'll finish now.
Scientists say climate change has increased the occurrence of the most intense and destructive storms. But this nation of 80 or so islands has big ambitions to fight climate change. As the recovery effort progresses, with the help of foreign aid, the government is leading an effort to have a top international court clarify the obligations of states to tackle climate change and the consequences of not doing so under international law. The proposal is expected to be put to a vote at the UN later in March, with more than 100 of 193 UN nations publicly supporting the proposal. Meanwhile, the people of Vanuatu continue to pick up the pieces. At the Port Vila Central Hospital, the neonatal and children's wards were evacuated, and there is concern that more needs to be done to prepare the nation for future disasters, and frustration that industrialized nations are not taking more responsibility for their actions.
I would like to see some accountability, some admission of accountability by developed countries. I just don't see how we as small people can influence the West or the industrial nations to modify their activities to prevent effects of climate change or climate change altogether.
But there is support for government efforts to encourage action on climate change and ensure accountability.
It's important for Vanuatu to take this message, our government, to the world and to make sure that other countries around the world have the respect for other people, regardless of where they're living.
While the country waits for the outcome of the UN vote later this month, for some hope lies with community, custom and God.
The Republic of Vanuatu is founded on Polynesian traditional values and custom and also biblical principles. This is where we put our hope and faith. And God says, be with me, you live with me. Don't worry about what happens in the weather, what happens on the ground, the earthquakes and whatever. Just focus on God. And He is our hope for the future.
For others, hope is found in the prospect of their loved ones helping them move to safer land.
So my husband tried his best right now. He wants to work to gain some money to buy another new land.
And for others, hope lies in the hands of the next generation.
The children who have been born in the 19 90s, 2000 would have grown up in this environment of we need to save our planet. By the time they get into a position of influence, they'll be the movers and shakers of their generation. And if they've been put in the right place in politics and can make those decisions to stem the effects of climate change, then we've got hope for the future.